RFK Jr. appeared on Fox and Friends recently and spoke about 4 dangerous substances that could be in your food that you should avoid at all costs. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about RFK Jr. going on Fox and Friends and speaking about the dangerous substances, the dangerous foods that Americans are exposed to every single day in this country that cause a lot of pain, a lot of hardship, and a lot of financial difficulty. Now, before we get to the video, let's back up a little bit for context. Now, y'all know who RFK is, part of the Kennedy family, ran for president this year, was not successful, dropped out of his run, and now he supports Trump. And from the content of this video, what I saw from him, I think he should be in the cabinet in some kind of way related to food, drugs, something. Be in there some kind of way to get this sinking ship of obesity and drug addiction called the USA back on the right track. Please, let's get this thing back floating properly. Now, before I go any further, let's get into the actual clip. Of course, I will link to the entire thing in the box. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Why should people be worried about these kind of products?
Seed oils are one of the most unhealthy ingredients that we have in foods.
Now, he's correct. I don't use any seed oil when I cook, and I cook probably 5-6 days a week. I cook a lot. I use extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil. When you're using stuff like just vegetable oil, that's seed oil. You don't want to use that.
And seed oils, the reason they're in the foods is because they're heavily subsidized. They're very, very cheap, but they are associated with all kinds of very, very serious illnesses, including body-wide inflammation.
Right.
Which affects all of our health. It's one of the worst things you can eat, and it's almost impossible to avoid. If you eat any processed food, you're going to be eating seed oil.
Right, and it's interesting, the government subsidizes it. Why would the government want to subsidize something that's going to make people sick, and then in the end, we all end up paying for that in terms of healthcare costs?
That's a great question, but the government does things that don't make any sense. The government placed a subsidy on tobacco farmers, if I'm not mistaken, and also they sponsor a campaign, an anti-smoking campaign. So you want to put marketing dollars toward saying don't smoke, but you're also paying the farmers to grow the tobacco. Make that make sense.
Which are skyrocketing.
Yeah, because that is a direct result of corruption. About 75% of FDA's budget comes from regulated industry, and that means food processors and pharmaceutical industry. All of them profit from a sick population. You know,
a big item that, and by the way, it's getting very expensive, are cereals. Why is the food coloring in particular bad?
Food coloring, you see here yellow food coloring, that is a petroleum product. Mm-hmm. It's associated with really, with depression. It's associated with autoimmune injuries and ADHD.
Yeah.
These, and red dye also is very bad. In Europe, these same companies are producing the same products, but they're using natural coloring. But here they can get away with it. We have about almost 1,000 chemicals that are in our food that are either outright banned in Europe or actively discouraged. So
now let's pause for a minute. I think the reason why these chemicals are used over here and then not in Europe to create the exact same product, because, okay, if you want some Fruity Pebbles and you want all the pebbles to be different colors, they can color them naturally, but it might cost more. And I think that might be the bottom line. When you're mass producing things, if you're able to save a fraction of a penny, that's going to equate to millions, if not billions of dollars. So at the end of the day, it's all about money, and they don't care if they poison you in the process. Whatever, we make money, so it's fine.
You wouldn't be able to buy this kind of stuff in Europe. You ask about why it's so cheap, why it's so ubiquitous. It's because we subsidize the worst foods. We subsidize it with about 70% of our food stamp program is to processed foods, which are all poison.
Right. One of the things that's interesting is you'll see on labels natural flavors, which is this catch-all phrase that I guess was lobbied for. But the ingredients in natural flavors are not really natural.
No. In our country, natural flavors are chemical products. So you can't trust what's on the ingredient label. And the reason for that, again, is government corruption. It's that the agency, the USDA, the FDA, have been captured by the industries they're supposed to regulate. And they all have an interest in subsidies and then in mass poisoning the American public.
Yeah.
Now, one way to avoid it, if they don't get to it in this particular video, is to get fresh produce, farmers market, things like that. Yeah, go there. A local farmers market, you can avoid this. And whole food meaning one ingredient, an apple, an orange, a kiwi, a pear, a squash, chicken, beef, pork, if you like pork, which I'm not really a big fan of, fish, fresh fish straight from the actual water. And you could go down there and get it. Or at best, maybe like a grocery store, if they get fresh caught, wild caught, and they get it fresh. But that's the best way to avoid a lot of these issues. When you get into the things that have preservatives, things that are in packages, even some of like the packaged chicken, some of the packaged beef, you don't know how it's raised. It could be all kind of drugs they put on it. It's a whole different thing. Raising them in filthy environments versus more farm-raised, locally sourced meats, much different quality.
Yeah, I want to talk about pesticides, and then let's talk about the policy. So let's talk about the pesticides and the things that worry you about. I mean, this looks like fresh food, right? What should I be worried about here?
Yeah, I mean, the irony is, like, for example, my wife loves kale, and she had the impression that kale is actually good for you. If it's organic, it's very good for you. But most kale and strawberries, for example, grapes, are contaminated with pesticides, and particularly the Environmental Working Group has found what they call the dirty dozen, some of the worst pesticides on these products. So, I look at a strawberry and I think, oh, this is a healthy food. Right. But in most cases, unless it's organic, certified organic, you are getting something that's actually hurting you.
That's right. And it's really crazy. But I'm glad that RFK is bringing light to this issue, and I hope that he's able to get into the government because, listen, I know that the solution here would be to ban some of these chemicals that we use that are subsidized by the government, making the food cheaper. So if we ban them, it's going to make the price of the food go up. I understand, but it's better to have food that's slightly more expensive because when you go to the grocery store, organic is typically more expensive, but is it that much more expensive? Is the difference in cost worth you putting your life on the line in the future with some kind of cancer or some kind of debilitating disorder? That's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, what he's saying is right on point. A lot of your processed food, period, you want to avoid. Anything in the package, anything in the box, with a bunch of ingredients, xanthan gum, all this kind of stuff, you kind of want to avoid that and stick to the whole food. Okay, what I normally eat every day, I'm eating chicken, fish, I'm eating avocado, tomato, fresh breads that they make right there, with as few ingredients as possible. Once you get into all the preservatives and other stuff they put in it, that's when you're getting a bunch of chemicals in your body. The food that was put here, when God put the food here, it was intended to be eaten as is without adding a bunch of different chemicals to change it, to modify it. It shouldn't be that way. You can make, let's say, a gumbo, a pasta, a bunch of different whole foods thrown into one. But when you have one whole food that has harmful chemicals, radiation, petroleum, all kind of just extra stuff that you shouldn't consume into your body, when that's on it, now we're doing something different aside from just having whole food put together. You see what I'm saying? Like, as I close, I want to say this. You got a pasta with a bunch of ingredients that are all whole. Great. You have a box of cookies with 25 ingredients. Now you don't know what you're eating. It looks like a delicious chocolate chip cookie, but really you got a bunch of chemicals and other things that are working in your body, and you may not even feel the results of those things until many years later, unfortunately. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what RFK Jr. said? Is he on point, off point? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. He is 100% on point. A lot of the food that we're exposed to every single day is killing us. slowly. You may not think that them cookies or them maybe back ribs or whatever you got is damaging you right now, and you might be okay for now. But what about 10 years in the future, 15 in the future, 20 in the future? What will happen to you then, and how will it happen to you? All these brand new crazy chemical concoctions they putting out there for us to consume, we have no idea how it's going to impact us. Just like the whole C19 thing. Why would I put that in my body when it just came out with it? And then they said, oops, myocarditis, pericarditis. It's the same thing going on with our food supply, and it's very, very dangerous. So I hope RFK Jr. gets into the cabinet in some kind of way and is able to ban some of these food products and ingredients from the market. I know it's going to cause an increase in the cost. I understand, but the net benefit will far outweigh the increase in the price. It'd be worth it. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.